All right. Good morning, everybody. How's it going today? Happy Wednesday. Hope you're having a great day so far. Jared Sebesta here, joining you live on a number of platforms here. We are joining you live on Instagram. We're joining you live on YouTube. We're joining you live on LinkedIn. We are joining you live on all of them, Facebook as well. This is called Life-Undeferred. Someday is canceled. And that's really what this platform is all about. You know, like I believe that life should be lived. And you probably agree with this as well. Life should be lived. You only get one shot at life. Time should not be wasted, and time goes faster the less intentional you are. And I don't know, call it a midlife crisis or not, but whatever it is, I'm going through a season of really focusing on living life undeferred, canceling someday, not having this mentality of someday I'll do these things. Someday we're going to start engaging with life. And so I want to bring you intriguing guests and episodes here live and recorded and via podcast someday where we just talk about life and how to live truly life undeferred. So it looks like all the streaming platforms are working. So I do want to bring on our very first guest. Jenna, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great.
You ready to rock and roll?
I'm ready to rock and roll, buddy.
All right, let's do this. Get ready to embark on a thrilling journey of self-discovery and empowerment as I introduce to you the captivating, the articulate, the beautiful Jenna D'Annunzio. Jenna is a holistic business and mindset coach helping clients and business owners in achieving their goals, maximizing their potential, and leaning into their happiest, healthiest, and wealthiest selves in business and in life. She works alongside her legendary father, Steve D'Annunzio, with the Soul Purpose Institute and the mission. No big deal. Get ready to elevate every aspect of your life and business as we embrace the wisdom and inspiration only Jenna D'Annunzio can bring. Jenna, thanks for joining us today.
Wow, I'm so honored. What a beautiful introduction. Thank you so much.
Well, I am so excited to have you. I get so much energy from you. So I hope everybody watching this and listening to this is ready to just dive right in. Let's talk about this right off the bat. Soul Purpose, SOUL, Soul Purpose. What is it?
Building a life you love. So many people think finding your soul purpose is really honing in on what your unique ability is and what you and only you can do and what you're meant to do. And I want to say it's all of that stuff, but it's also really building a life that you love. It's not just about business. It's not just about what you do, but it's who you are. So many times, a lot of my clients and I, they come to me and they're frustrated with what they're doing. And I say, okay, so do me a favor. Tell me who you are without telling me what you do. And their minds are blown because they go into all the roles. Well, you know, I'm a holistic business and mindset coach and I do this and I do that. And it's like, okay, that's great. But I said, tell me who you are. Who are you? And that just kind of blows their mind. So that's really a foundational start of what soul purpose is. It's learning to lean into your authentic self, learning to be unapologetic about that authentic self, and really build a life you love.
I love that definition. Why do so many people struggling, me included sometimes, finding that? What's your theory with, you know, many years of working with people as to why does the world suck that out of us in so many ways?
Oh man, well, we're going back history. We're going back generational. There's some trauma. There's a lot of stuff. I don't know if you've ever heard of the concept of epigenetics, which is really gene expression. Right. And it's the science that they started off doing this with mice, but they've recognized now as science continues to go on and research, and it's just incredible that really we hold a part of our genetics. We can trace back almost 10 to 12 generations that we're harboring, we're honing in on. We didn't even know those people, hundreds of years, right? Great-great-great-grandfathers. It's all just based on our sense of belief systems from hundreds of years ago compared to 2024. So really, it's a principled approach. I call it the people principle. And the people principle says we're all doing the best that we can with what we have, given the conditions of life, given our belief systems, and given our karmic merit, right? So that's where that epigenetics, that's where that generational transgression, sometimes trauma, but sense of belief systems are really coming from.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
You actually believe that like it's baked in, because I'm not 100% familiar with epigenetics, but
Okay.
it's really like there's a physiological tendency, so to speak. Would that be a fair statement?
Yeah, and it stems back from years and years. It's gene expression. Our genes express themselves in different ways, but it all stems from somewhere, right? It all stems, and it could potentially be, your great, 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 great grandma. Now, there's a series of belief systems that are married with those, right? The nature versus the nurture. And so that's why in our work, we truly believe that our beliefs drive our behaviors and our behaviors drive our results. Everything is a belief system, literally everything. And it's all subjective, right? My truth is going to be completely separate from your truth, and so on and so forth. So it's really interesting where we don't always learn how to be our unapologetic and authentic self in our childhood because of a set of belief systems that our parents live into and that their parents lived into. And so it's sometimes unintentional, right? Of course, our parents, the majority of us, they want the best for us. They think they're instilling a series of really positive beliefs, where really sometimes if that's not who we feel like is within our heart and our authentic self, then there's a lot of conflicting issues happening there from a mindset perspective.
You mentioned so many things. It's like past traumas, mindset, genetics, something my great great grandfather or grandparents went through, decades prior, and all of that. You're trying to wield all of that in a broken world, and then trying to live your life in such a way. And you've got somebody, popping on LinkedIn or something like this, like us, saying, "Hey, you need to step into your true self, your true identity." That's a really hard thing for a lot of people to do.
It's a hard easy. Yeah, it's really hard. But the hard gets easy when you're willing to get the support and when you recognize that there's a cognitive dissonance between who you're being and who you really want to be. Right? I always tell this funny story. Back when I was super young, my grandmother was watching my cousins and I, 3 girls, and we were super bored. And she goes, "Well, why don't you clean up a little bit and grandma will pay you?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." So we clean up the house. We're all excited. And we're like, "Okay, grandma, we're ready." And she hands us each a quarter. And we were like, a quarter? That's it. So I run back to my dad, and he goes, "Well, honey, back in her day, a quarter was a lot. And a quarter went a really long way." And this is where the whole concept of that scarcity mindset kind of set in for me, not just from a financial standpoint, but from a standpoint of, not enough. I didn't think I had enough for what I did, but I didn't say anything about it, right? And so we were laughing about it. But now I recognize that our beliefs drive our behaviors and our behaviors drive our results. And so we all have a set of belief systems, and we have this incredible opportunity to recognize that we are not alone and that we do create our own reality.
I love that. And you're speaking my love language right now. You mentioned the term cognitive dissonance. I heard that from you last year when I did some training with you guys, and explain a little bit more of that. You touched on it, but kind of maybe explain a little bit more, and maybe give a different example what that feels like for somebody trying to figure out their life.
Yeah, well, so it's really, I'm in cognitive dissonance around what I want versus what I'm willing or may not even know that I'm not doing to get it. Right. And so bridging that gap, and there's so many opportunities where, do I want to go here? Do I want to go here? I'm in dissonance around what it is that I feel like my belief systems of who I want to be and how I want to show up in the world, how I want my business to look. But that sometimes we don't even realize that we're getting in our own way. Sometimes we don't even realize that the 6 inches between our ears is the biggest barrier hindering our ability to bridge that gap.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm learning more about this, and I've seen the biggest breakthroughs in my life because of how I think. And the more that I become aware of those, the more I've
Mhm.
connected the dots as to, again, all of the epigenetics,
Yeah.
past traumas, things that
Sure.
was modeled by my parents. They love me very much, but they're broken people in a broken world, and they're trying to figure out their stuff,
Yeah.
And God help us, we're parents of small children. How much
Yeah.
therapy our kids will have to go through someday, perhaps.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but
Well, you know what, Jared, and I would say the world isn't broken. It feels sometimes it's tough. It's tough, but it's not broken. We're not broken. We're perfect just the way that we are.
mm,
And we are in a space of healing. And we are in a space where we get to choose love over fear.
mm.
Living into that fear based thought that the world is broken or that we are broken continues to crack it a little bit more every time.
Hmm. That's
So
huge.
I,
Yeah.
I lovingly called you out on that, my friend.
No,
But
yeah,
I just wanted to write our thoughts become things the more
mhm.
we say them.
Yeah, and I could see that. Like if I believe that the world's broken, I'm gonna always be a human being trying to figure out life in a broken world. What's a better way to describe that? Because again, how do you look at the world? Do you call it
Mm-hmm.
dark? Do you call it imperfect? Like how do you describe that so we have the right mindset going through life?
Well, I think the biggest thing is to recognize the belief system around why you feel like it's dark or it's broken.
Hmm.
If you're looking at through a political lens, okay, I get it, right? Are you looking at it through a religious lens? Are you looking at it through the lens of business? Are you looking at it through the lens of sports? Right? So there's four major platforms here that we're all kind of that religion, sports, politics, all those things that I just named, and it really just depends on what lens you're looking at it through.
Hmm.
So
Mhm.
to help you be able to cognitively reframe, which is a really big a psychological concept. I take my clinical psychology world, and I bring that to my coaching for folks because we don't realize that our thoughts, we aren't our thoughts.
Mhm.
So let's take that global perspective and say, okay, I said the world was broken, but why do I really feel that way? What about it right now in the here and now feels broken? Right? And when we ask ourselves these open ended questions, then we get that opportunity to say, oh, okay, well, I'm looking at it through a political lens, for example, and it feels super broken and there's a whole ton of messiness. And so, how do we reframe that? Right now, the world is going through a very interesting,
Interesting.
sometimes upsetting, but very interesting time period within the political system.
Mhm.
And so, I'm going to do my best to show up regardless of others' actions and experiences and truths.
Hmm. Big
Feels
difference
just a
there.
little, yeah, it just feels a little bit more useful for us.
Yeah. I just posted something on Instagram this morning talking about shining light. When I look through when I look through the world, as you were
Yeah,
saying, worldview, all four, like
yeah,
when I looked at the world, business, life, sports, politics, up until 2.5 years ago, it was all broken and it was all against me. And
mm,
when I looked at my future, and I say this a lot, I'm not trying to sound overly dramatic. It was
yeah,
black. It had a physical color to it. Like this was as good as life ever is
yeah,
going to get. It's only downhill from here. And then I had a very distinct moment where I chose I'm not going to live in fear and scarcity anymore. I didn't articulate that at the time because I didn't understand it.
sure.
But that opened up this journey that I've been on, and you and I have kind of, played roles in each other's movies and crossed paths, and it's been awesome
Yeah,
along this
totally.
journey. But I'm vibing with everything that you say. I think back to all the time, and I asked my wife this. I'm like, what could somebody have said when I was living back in that would have kind of opened my eyes to see the light, the world now in color? Because now when I don't look at it through the lens of fear and scarcity, I don't see that it's broken and I'm broken. Now an opportunity to go and
Yeah.
shine light in what we could call a dark world or imperfect world or an interesting time. What do you say to people to get them to like understand that?
Nothing. Nothing. Honestly, what when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Bingo. Yeah.
Right? You weren't ready until you were. Right? We had this, we've talked, it was, we kept in touch. You and I had several conversations, but it really wasn't until I said, hey, you want to come to our symposium? I think you'd get a lot of value out of it. All I did was invite you into my offer.
Mm-hmm.
You made that choice. You were ready.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not it felt it, right? Whether or not you woke up and said, I feel ready, right? Many of us don't until we just are. Mm-hmm. Until you were like, you know what? My wife is, I think she was like 7.5 months pregnant at the time. And you're like, we're in the clear. She's okay. I'll be gone for 48 hours. I think I'm going to take this chance. I'm going to take the chance on myself. I'm going to invest in myself. Mm-hmm. I got the okay. The family's good. I'm going to do it. I was like, yes, he's ready. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing I can say to anybody else, right? Like, I got to want it.
100%. And I think that that's a good word for everybody when it comes to life, business, parenting, dealing with relationships. I love that mantra of when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. What she's alluding to, and I'm talking to the audience here. I actually came out to New York last year, 2023, and did some training with you. And you guys laid down some really interesting truths. The first one, and I have never forgotten this, and I've used it over and over and over again as I have coached and mentored other people. Yeah. And that is, the universe is we live in a supportive universe where the success you seek is seeking you. I literally have memorized it because it's become a mantra for me. Yeah. To me, I think you have to start with that. If you don't believe that, the other stuff is going to be difficult. You're always going to be a victim. Explain that in your words.
We live in a supportive universe really means that we all want the same things, mm-hmm. right? We all want to maximize happiness, minimize suffering. All of us. That is the support of the universe. There's I can't remember the author, but it's called The Book of Joy. And the author says, there's two things that we all human beings want: maximize happiness, minimize suffering. That is the supportive universe. That's what all of us want. So the success that we are seeking, it is seeking us as well, because we want to maximize that success. We want to minimize our suffering. We don't want to suffer. Now, for those that sounds like a big, interesting concept, because there are a lot of unfortunate human beings in this planet that are showing us somewhat otherwise. Mm-hmm. But this, when I refer back to the people principle, this is where the karmic merit comes out. This is where mental health plays such a critical factor. This is where conditions of life play a critical factor. This is where our belief systems play a critical factor, right? So all of those people that we see doing really hurtful, painful, unforgiving things, truth be told, even they want to maximize their happiness, even they want to minimize their suffering. They're just doing it based on a set of very, very unfortunate circumstances, right? But that universal truth is that's what we all want. And when we put that back out, it will come back to us. Right? The law of sympathetic resonance, the law of vibration and attraction. It's not just creating a vision board of putting a mansion up there and a Mercedes and hoping that it happens, but it's also recognizing that that's just a piece of the pie and that we get to choose what that success and that happiness looks like. Mm-hmm. But it's subjective. Yeah. Success is subjective.
Exactly. And I believe if you can get in the right mind space, the
Correct.
Divine gives you the best desires that fit your authentic self, your authentic journey, your authentic movie, right?
Sure.
But you've got to get into that mind space and believe those things first. And also too, like, I think that there's something, I want to hear your opinion on this.
Sure.
Because you just mentioned, it's not like, hey, if I just pray Lamborghini, I'm going to get a Lamborghini. That's not, we're not suggesting that, but what I have seen, and again, I want to hear your articulation of this. When we get in that right mind space, then the divine starts to work in us and we start taking more divine-like action that leads us into the journey we were perhaps supposed to walk down? How would you explain that?
So just declaring what you want doesn't necessarily get it, right? To your point, but also the next step would be getting curious. So not only is it, why do I want this? How badly do I want it? How committed am I to getting it? And then what are the activities that I get to do in order to make that a reality? That comes with the law of creation, right? We create our own reality through thought, word, choice, and action. It's getting really curious, right? I was telling you, I've always wanted to be an author. I used to write books all the time when I was little. My dad is moving, actually. He just dropped off all these books from when I was like first and second, third grade. And they're super cute. And I would draw, and so cute. But I didn't know what that meant for me in adulthood and trying to navigate business and kids and schools and pickups and drop-offs. And then COVID, it just all felt really heavy. So I kind of put that on the back burner. But it was always something that I would go to every once in a while. Oh, that's a really good thought. And I write it down. And it wasn't until I really recognized, why do I want this? How badly do I want it? Am I committed to it? So I started writing again a couple months ago. And I shared with you. And then one day I checked my spam, and there it was, this incredible opportunity to be a co-author. I was like, right? So it's really asking yourself those critical questions after you say, I want this. It's recognizing, why do I want it? How badly do I want it? How committed am I to getting it? And what are the activities that I get to do? Not that I have to do, that I need to do, but what do I get to do in order to make that a reality?
Again, I love that way that you explain it, because what you are recognizing is you're kind of creating the roadmap, so to speak, but you don't know the end goal. And I love the idea of just taking, I like the word messy action, but it's bold and it's divine and inspired action. The reason why it's messy is that you don't know the end goal. That's what makes it messy. Messy to me, like true messy action is like, I'm just going to try 1,000 different things and see which one hits. Like I'm fishing, right?
Yeah.
That's not what you're suggesting and what I'm suggesting, but it's again, getting really, really laser focused and articulate over what you want. You're laying out the roadmap, you're creating the vision, and then the divine steps in and kind of helps and guides your steps along the way. Would that be a fair statement?
Yeah, you're leaning into clarity and intention, right? And curiosity. Those are three huge, critical, and exciting things and concepts that I work with a lot of my business owners. You know, people come, I want to be a business owner, or I want to make X amount of dollars, or I want my business to grow. Okay, great. What does that mean? What does that look like? It's clarity. Cool. Now that we have somewhat of an idea, let's create that roadmap.
Without knowing exactly what the end goal is, just having the right intention. Yeah.
And more times than not, I can't tell you what they came to me for is not what A, they originally got out of it, and or B, their goals completely changed. We always think we know what we want, but a lot of times, to your point, it gets messy, but it gets beautiful messy. It's a beautiful mess.
I think the end goal is better, because that is the divine. You know what I mean? Like I posted yesterday something about like, what if I want to go into the NBA, and I actually believe I can go into the NBA, which is nearly impossible at 45 years old. Whether I ever step foot on an NBA court and play 1 second in the NBA is actually irrelevant, because the belief that I'm taking myself down a road, getting curious, and that leads to new doors, new relationships, new opportunities. And where I actually end up may not be the on court at the NBA. It's actually something better. And to your point, to use your verbiage, more authentically me.
Correct.
Than what somebody who's actually playing in the NBA would be to them. You know what I'm saying? I love that. I love that idea, because that just opens up the door. Now all of a sudden the world looks color. The world should look color to you when you understand that you get a say
Yeah.
And you all you got to do is start getting curious and start really identifying what it is that you want and what you
Yeah.
need to do.
And be intentional with it.
Yeah.
Piggybacking off of that, you may want to be in the NBA, but as you go through all the notions, I see you more as their athletic trainer or their coach.
Right. Right.
So you're still on the floor of it. You may not be in the game, but you're on the sidelines, you're watching, you're supporting. Like that's,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? We always think that
100%.
we know what we want, but we're not 100% sure. So when we start to go through the motions and we just love ourselves enough, someday is today, right? Someday is right now. There is only now. There is only now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. And again, that gives me motivation and purpose for living each day in that. It does matter how we live every single day for sure.
Yeah.
We got like 5 minutes left. I want to talk about this. You talked about an opportunity to co-author. We have business owners watching this, listening to this. We want to talk about making some money. Like, tell us about what's going on and what do you where can you give some people some juicy nuggets here the last several minutes here when it comes to business and making money?
So a very principled approach is what I teach and I bring to the table for my business owners. Who we are anywhere is who we are everywhere. And so when we are showing up as our authentic, our best selves, if we are truly on this journey to be the happiest, the healthiest, the wealthiest that we can be, we will be attracting those in that circle. We will be aligning with our tribe. And so many of my business owners, they look at, they're so good at their craft, right? My financial advisors, they're so good at financial planning, right? My marketing, she's got a marketing company. She's so good at marketing, but it's the building, it's the mindset, it's the building of talking to people and actually building out their practice and scaling their practice that they're struggling with. And so what I support my clients around, what I support my business owners around is really taking a principled approach to that health, to their health, their wealth. And they are one person. We're all one person. And so a lot of the principles that I talk about in the book are discipline is freedom is a big one. Discipline is the number one trait of highly successful people. Knowing what you get to do and being disciplined around it is so critical. And so many of us aren't. And hard easy. Hard easy is another big one. Every day we face a series of life decisions, doing what appears to be the hard thing first so that our life gets easier in the end. And so as these are the two principles that I've had to struggle with and apply in my own practice and in my own business. I'm a busy mom as well. So a lot of my folks are in that same realm of how do I show up in my practice and in my business? And then how do I show up as a mom or a father? And so learning to navigate all of those things together is what truly makes you wealthy.
The word alignment comes to play. Congruency, where I think, maybe this is something like our parents and grandparents had more of it. Maybe the world has just changed a little bit, but it would seem like back in the day, it was like, dad went off to work and that was his corporate self. And then he came home and then now he was his dad. And then he was like the fun guy on the weekends where he took us camping. What I'm seeing and what I'm finding out in my own life is that there needs to be full alignment. Not to say that I am trying to work when I'm on vacation, but there needs to be full alignment into who I am, where, to your point, and to use your verbiage, you're showing up the same person everywhere.
Yes. There's so many transferable skills that I take as a parent that I apply with my clients and that I take in my business and in my practice that I apply at home, right? With my kids, teaching my kids hard easy. I have a fourth grader. She comes home with homework every single day. She walks in the house, puts up her backpack, gets her homework out, sits at the snack bar. I'll hand her a snack and she does her homework first thing. Monday through Friday, it's done, hard easy. Right? So we're taking our transferable skills, both in business and in life, and being and showing up our best selves so that we invite more people into our offer.
I love that. You're throwing your most truest authentic self to the world as you become that person in your own headspace, your own atmosphere, and then throwing that out into the world, you then attract the right people that resonate with you, your business, your offer. Then to me almost has like supernatural power because it's resonating with like who you are, who you're created. And everybody wins out of the deal. That's what I'm always harping at people. Everybody wins.
Well, that's it. Business is the only platform where it's win-win or no deal.
Right.
Right. And it's a game of power in which people always align with the offers that make them feel more powerful and that are in alignment with what makes them feel good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm not
going to do business with somebody that doesn't make me feel good. I don't know anybody who would.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's a great point. That's good stuff. I was gonna ask you kind of one final question about like what is a takeaway that people can have? And again, we talked about mind space. We talked about becoming authentic. Like, is there one little nugget here before I let you go that like people can just tangibly take through the rest of their day today to like maybe just move the needle one little click?
Well, I think because this resonated so deeply with you, I'm going to hone in on this concept that the success you are seeking is also seeking you. And that in congruency with that, you do have the ability to create and build the life that you love. And it's up to you. It's a choice. Yeah.
You get a choice in this.
You get a choice. Mm-hmm. And you're not alone in that. So if you feel like you need support on what that choice looks like and how to bridge the gap, going back to cognitive dissonance, let us know. Mm-hmm. You're not alone.
It feels like you are lots of times. And I know when it comes to entrepreneurship and business ownership and starting businesses and trying to build it, it feels like you're on an island. So that's why I have loved diving into this realm because it's helped me, even though, you're physically separated from people and you feel like you're on a little island, but it really does help. And it opens up the mind space and the head space a lot. And that's really what you need.
Absolutely.
I love it. Hey, honestly, we could go for another half hour or 3 hours, depending on how much time you give two talkers the floor. Let's start to land this plane. Let's talk about where people can find you. You're co-authoring a book.
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit.
So I am one of 20 success coaches that Jim Britt had reached out to be a featured co-author in his international best-selling book series called Cracking the Rich Code. So I am beyond thrilled and honored to have this experience. The book will be actually just sent off my chapter, so it's becoming real. It should be out hopefully within the month, I would say, beginning of fall at the latest. And so I'm incredibly, incredibly honored and grateful to have that experience. Outside of that, I am the co-owner of Mission Driven Advisor and Soul Purpose Institute, which are two holistic business companies I co-own with my father. So I'm here and I'm ready to go. I'm thrilled to be on this journey and I'm really excited to take it off.
Well, if you're not following Jenna on LinkedIn and other social media channels, but LinkedIn especially, make sure that you are. And then what's the name of the book one more time?
Cracking the Rich Code, volume 14.
And you wrote a chapter, you just sent it off. Congratulations. That's
Thank
awesome.
you. Thank you. Yes, it was a labor of love. I tell a little bit about my story. So there's some vulnerability there, but my story and how I was able to take that principled approach to really building a life that I love. And I'm excited, nervous, but excited.
I love it. Give out the URLs of your websites real quick.
missiondrivenadvisor.com.
Okay. You can find more about the Soul Purpose Institute there as well. And I love it. Again, thanks for being part of my movie. Thanks for being part of this broadcast. I love you. And anytime I get a chance to chat with you, I'm always going to take you up on that offer. So have a wonderful day. And thanks for joining us today.
You too. Bye, everyone. Bye, Jared.
Hey, good job, Jenna. That's how you do it. That's how